بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Welcome everyone to yet another Halaqa at this Masjid Al-Khattab Center. We are hosting our weekly Saturday Halaqa right after Salat al-Asr. And alhamdulillah, we've been discussing Al-Aqidah al-Wasatiyya, so understanding the true Aqidah and the Aqidah that belongs to the Muslim Ummah, which is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding the Tawheed and its components. As we mentioned, we will be having a quick Kahoot game maybe towards the end of this speech. And inshallah, it will allow us to sort of review what we've help us to remind us of what we've studied so far in a fun way, inshallah. So let's do a quick revision. What we spoke about last week with the Tawheed has been categorized into three different types, right? So we said that Tawheed is believing in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it's divided into three types, the first type is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, and Tawheed Asma' wa-Sifat. Now, the first we said, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, is to single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a Lord. So we're saying we are attesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our only Lord, and that He subhanahu wa ta'ala is, or to single Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out in three matters. So we're establishing Tawheed, but also this Tawheed is broken down to three. The first, Rububiyyah, consists of the element that He's the one who creates, He's the one who owns, and He's the one who disposes of the affairs, right? This is the Rububiyyah. So He's the creator, He's the owner, and He does, so basically He created things, He owns that item or the creation, like everything in the heavens and the earth. Not only did He create it, but He owns it, and He decides what He wants to do with it, essentially. Meaning that if He decides to give life, life is given. If He decides to take life, death is a result, right? If He decides to give someone sustenance, that person would get it. If He decides to take away something from someone, that person or that creation would lose it, right? So essentially, it's not just Allah created us and left us alone to take care of ourselves. No, He's still in ultimate control, but we have sort of choice and control in how we live our lives. But in the essence, we're sort of within this realm, in this hayat al-dunya, that we can make simple choices, but not the deep level choices. We don't decide what we look like. We don't decide when we are born. We don't decide who our parents are. We don't decide the length of or how healthy or how wealthy we are or we may become. We don't decide our sort of position in life. As they say, you know, when life throws a lemon at you, what do? When life throws a lemon, it's a famous saying, what do? You make lemonade. Means if you get thrown a lemon, which is something sour, you take it and you make it into something beneficial and something sweet and useful, right? Lemonade on a hot day like today, it refreshes us a little bit, right? There's some benefit. Cold lemonade, and you know, sometimes we see young kids that are selling it, and so it becomes an event. So we don't have control over what may happen tomorrow in our life. We don't have control whether the earth will, you know, remain easy or going through a natural disaster. We can't stop things. If Allah decides tomorrow it's going to rain or if it's going to be cold, right? Today's hot. What happens if tomorrow is minus 30? Is it possible? It could be minus 30 tomorrow. It's very possible, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides the affairs of this earth. So we have like 2% control. So what do we control? Like if you're saying, oh brother, Allah's in control, He created and He owns and He can do whatever He wants, but what, like we have choice, we're in control of something. So the element of control that we have is we can control our actions, right? We're given control of that. We're not given control of our breathing. Like we don't have control over how we breathe. We just breathe. We just, you know, exist. Like we're here for we just showed up, right? But Allah said you have choice in your actions. You have choice in your intentions. If you want to be good, or if you want to be evil, right? You have a decision, you can make decisions. You can use your mind to improve things. And we've moved into the point of creation, where we said that Allah said He's the ultimate creator. But are we creators as well? Some people may say, well, brother, yes, we are creators. I mean, who made this laptop? Did Allah make this laptop? Right? Somebody may say, well, brother, Allah didn't make this laptop, He didn't make this table, He didn't make this phone. You know, how can you say Allah created everything? Yes, He's a creator, but we are creators as well. So what do you guys, from last week, what do you remember how to tackle this topic? Yes, in the back, sister. Your name? Ikhlas. Okay, so how do we understand this? Like, are we're creators as well? Allah's creator. Like, how do we distinguish?
Allah is the creator in the end, but like Allah is the one who gives you the materials to make in order to make it whatever you want to make it. Like for the table, Allah creates the wood from trees we cut down.
Excellent.
And build it up into.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Allah is the creator of the heavens and the earth, meaning that this earth has the raw materials we need to develop and assemble things. So we are more assemblers, right? We are builders. We're not creators. So people built this, but they didn't create metal. They found metal. They found silicon. They found lithium. They found uranium. They found the chemical, the elements. You know, the periodic table, there's like iron and copper and all that. All those natural elements existed in the earth first. All we did, we found it. Gold. Do we create gold, or we find gold and make it into something else? We find. So we are like hunters, right? We're gatherers, and that's what we go way back into many years back. When you decide you look into the older civilizations, these people had to hunt for food. Did they create the animal, or they just hunted the animal? They just hunted. They collected. They found things. They discovered. There were discoverers. Were curious creatures. We like to explore and find things, right? But in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a mind. So Allah created the mind, right? He created the human being. He created the mind, He created the tools, or the elements, and He said, now figure it out. You are on planet Earth, you have a soul, you have a mind, you have an intuition, so you decide what's right, what's wrong, right? Like this phone is made from metal, right? It has glass and metal and plastics and stuff. This is made from metal. Whatever we have, they can be used for good, or they can be used for bad. An example of metal being used for good is maybe a phone, maybe a laptop, maybe the door frame. There's a lot of things you can use to make with metal. But metal can also make a knife that somebody may try to harm somebody with, or it can make the formation of a gun or a weapon that you could hurt somebody with. So this is it. It's not the metal's fault, right? The metal didn't make anything wrong. It's a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We, as human beings, make choices to use this in the right or wrong. So we're not creators, we are builders, we are finders, we are keepers, we're developers, and so on, and so on, and so on, right? Maintainers and stuff like that. But Allah gave us a mind, He created the mind, He created the element, He created the understanding, and we, with His permission, are becoming smarter and smarter people. Right? So in the end, it's all within Allah's control, all within His sort of realm of affairs. But we are these little hamsters running on the wheel, trying to come up with some solutions all the time. We're like these small little creatures, we're in a glass box, but we think we can solve everything. However, even when it comes to ownership, it's the same thing. Somebody may say, well, if you want to come take my phone, I'll say, oh, wait, 1 second, it's my phone. What do you think you're doing? You're not going to take my phone from me. Like, how dare you? My laptop, right? I own it, but I don't really own it because I'm going to leave it, right? If I really own something, then I will, keep it forever. And, we as human beings like to own things, right? And that's just how we are created. So we always want more and more and more. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate owner of everything. When He says, and we said this before, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, we belong to Allah and everything shall return to Him, or lillahi mulku as-samawati wal ard, everything belongs to Allah, the heavens and the earth, as His ownership. It means every single item we have will go back to Him, or will perish. In other words, it will be turned to dust one day. The earth, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, what's going to happen to the earth? The whole earth will be just, it'll be flipped around like a piece of bread. Like it'll be rolled up and you know how you roll something? You just scroll it up and it's gone. Like an old paper bag. The earth will be just pieces. So the earth and everything in it is going to disappear. It's not infinite. It's finite. It's something that's going to stop. So everything within this earth will stop as well, right? Now some people say, well, brother, mashallah, there's cities and towers and buildings and I know there's a lot of Hollywood movies, they show like the earth being destroyed and the final apocalypse and the judgment day and everything's going to explode and everything. But Allah has His own way, and that's a theater style, but in the end, everything goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything has to die, everything has to pass, everything will cease to exist except the face of Allah. كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٌ إِلَّا وَجْهَهُ. Everything will be destroyed except His face, subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of His creation. And He has massive creation. One of His largest creation or His prized creation are the angels. Do the angels have to die? And then they'll be brought back to life?
Yes.
Yes. Even Angel Jibreel alayhi salam has to die. Right? وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ. Everything will have to go. Only the face of Allah stays. Right? Because He is the ultimate. He's the owner. He's the king and the creator. Finally, we've cleared the creation element, we've cleared the ownership side, and the disposition of affairs, meaning that Allah decides what He wants. If He wants a natural disaster, or if there's Turkey now, may Allah protect them, the Muslims and everyone there, is a forest, or there's wildfires there, there's wildfires here. Do we decide, or we just say, it just shows up and we have to deal with it, right? If there's an earthquake, we can only respond, we can't stop it, right? We don't have the power to stop it, we have the power to rebuild, we have the power to be patient, we have the power to respond, we have the power to help, we have the power to make dua, so we react in the right way. Sometimes certain things happen to test you, right? To see that, will these people react? Will these people help these people? Will these people do good deeds? Allah has His own wisdom, right? He has His own wisdom in the affairs that happen on planet Earth, or what happens in the heavens, or He managed the affairs of the heavens and the earth and the samawat wal ard, and in Jannah and in the Nar. That's all His sort of. He's responsible for all that, the overarching element of it. But the details, like what you're gonna have for dinner tonight, that's something we have control over, right? Like you can say, inshallah, tonight we're going to eat Popeyes, right? Or tonight we're going to make this special meal, or tonight we're going to have whatever. Then you make that choice, and you have the choice to go and make that decision and come back. So if you think about it, we're quite limited. As much as we are advanced, as much as we have tools and technologies and knowledge, we don't even have a 0.0001% of the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Do we know that the verse when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said الآية سبعة أبحر ما نفدت كلمات الله. I forget how it starts, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, He said, with all the knowledge we have, right? If the sea were ink for the amount of things of knowledge that exists, the sea would run out of ink. Do you understand? If all the seas were ink, the kalimat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the knowledge He has, the seas will run out. The ink will run out if it's even at the amount of the sea. So it means we have a portion of knowledge, right? We have a portion, we don't have everything. ولو أن ما في الأرض من شجرة أقلام والبحر يمده من بعد سبعة أبحر. So if all the trees were pencils or all the trees were pens and all the seas were ink, it would not be enough to record the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can barely understand, northwest, southwest, southeast. Just to manage the city here is enough challenge. Ask any mayor, ask any imam, ask any person who's in charge. Is it easy to manage the city of Edmonton? And we don't manage the whole city. It needs hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, to think and use their minds, and planners and city developers and engineers to make this city operate at a proper level. We didn't talk about the whole earth. We didn't talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving everybody rizq and everybody comfort and food and health and putting enough medicine on this planet Earth. We didn't talk about the planets. Who's taking care of the moon? I mean, the moon has its own, has to have its own care. There's many planets that require lots of, care and attention, right? They don't just exist by itself. And we all belong to this universe, and this is one level of the heavens, and there's 7 samawat. I mean, there's so much out there. We think we know a lot by just, we want to go to Mars, but we're not sure if we're going to make it or not. And we are, Tesla, SpaceX, these are like the people who are out there, and they're finding more life and solution and everything, and it's not even 0.001%, not even that, right? So we're very limited in the affairs of this earth. We only can control what's pretty much around us, not on a major level. Only a few people can have major impact, and even that is limited, because this earth itself as a creation is not a microscopic speck in the grand universe. We're actually quite worthless. The earth is nothing. It's just another speck of dust, right? It's as good as a grain of sand in throwing a small little ring in a grain of in a desert. It has no much value. So even as a planet, we're tiny. We're not like as big as the sun, or maybe 10 times bigger than that. Like, we belong to a tiny planet, and we're tiny creatures in this tiny planet. So what do we have? Nothing much. So Allah's saying, with all this, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. All we can say is, glory be to Allah, the best of creators. The best of creators. Right? The one who has fashioned us, made us look a certain way, and we can tell if when you have a family, you can tell, oh wow, you look like him, she looks like you look like him, you all belong to the same family. Have you ever thought of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created billions of people, and they all have a pair of eyes, nose and mouth and ears, but they all look different? Even if you belong in the same family, every single person looks different. Who's the artist behind this? Who decides that this person's going to look a little more, they'll have maybe a shade color eye like this, and the hair will look like that, and the chin would be a little bit this way, or the cheeks that way, or the ears. I mean, it's 4 or 5 items on the face, but every person has a different quality to make each person unique. It's amazing. If you think about it, it's unbelievable. Billions of people, and everyone looks different. That's like creativity beyond our imagination. I mean, if we were to discuss how we can make more than one different type of cell phone, we'd run out of ideas. Should we make it flat? Should we make it circle? Should we make it bend or twist? Like people now we're actually getting quite crazy with these things. We don't know what to do with them anymore. We thought we had it here, but then we see the creativity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like it's never ending. It's never ending, but our capacity is limited. This is it. This is what we came up with. These are the best creations of mankind today. Your Apples and your Samsungs and your, maybe some different houses or designs or engineering feats, but then they're all limited to time. It gets weaker with time and older with time. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this energy is ongoing. So that's the first rububiyyah element. It helps us to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not just the creator. He not only He owns these creations, but He takes care of them. It's essentially, this is based on Allah's rububiyyah is all about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, He's the owner, and He takes care of His property. Very caring caretaker, very caring Lord. That He decides that His creation will breathe comfortably, they will eat and they will sleep and rest and enjoy and see their kids grow and see, you have parents and you can go enjoy a day at the park and you're not just surviving, you're enjoying. He could have taken the element of enjoyment out and we could just be always on survival mode. We don't know what we're going to have the next day. We don't know where we're going to live. Every day is a different spot and it could have been very difficult, right? But we have a different element out of His mercy. This is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, we said. Does anyone remember Uluhiyyah, what was about? Al-Uluhiyyah. So we've established Allah is the what first? Rububiyyah is, quickly, let's do a quick review.
Allah is the God first.
He's the creator. Rububiyyah, we're talking Rububiyyah quickly, just to quickly review. Yes?
He's the Lord, He creates everything.
So He's the Lord, He creates, He
And
owns, and He controls and takes care of the affairs of everything. Excellent. This is Rububiyyah. Uluhiyyah is to single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in worship, such that you do not be a slave to other than Him. So after understanding that Allah is the creator, He's the owner, and He takes care of the affairs, now the Uluhiyyah element says we have to worship this creator. We have to worship this owner. We have to worship this care of the affairs of everything. So now we're establishing the ibadah. So Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah is also Tawheed al-Ibadah. Tawheed al-Ibadah means Tawheed of worship. Because people who believe and do not believe all belong to the first one. They belong to Rububiyyah. Why? Because Allah is the Lord of everybody. He's the creator of everybody. He's taking care of everybody. He owns everybody. But not everybody worships Him. So everyone is under the element of Rububiyyah that they have no choice in that. They have no choice. We said this last week, remember? We have no choice when it comes to Rububiyyah because it's just happening. Allah is the creator, He's the owner, and He controls everything. We don't touch that. But we have some control over Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. It comes from the word ilah, God. So Uluhiyyah means like to single Him out for worship. Do we have choice to worship?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. We have choice to worship. We decide that we're coming for salah. Do you know today that every single person Allah created under the Rububiyyah element, because Allah created everybody, right? And He owns everybody. But so everybody that He created, He actually made it mandatory that they have to worship Him. Meaning that Allah is going to ask every single human being that He created, that He owns, about salah, about zakat, about siyam and hajj, and all of the deeds. Allah is going to ask every single human being, Muslim or non-Muslim. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Allah is going to say to every single soul, where's your salah? Where's your zakat? Imagine somebody didn't believe that God exists. He said he's an atheist. But he said, no, I don't believe in anything. And then Allah's going to ask him about his salah. He's like, salah what? I deny your whole existence. Allah doesn't matter. You can deny what you want, but you are responsible for salah. You are responsible for zakat. Because you were created for worship. Do we know this verse? وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn or mankind, because both of us, jinn and mankind, have choice. That's why we're only two mentioned. Were the angels mentioned here? No. Were the animals mentioned?
No.
Were the fish mentioned here?
No.
Skies? The mountains? Why?
Because they don't have choice.
They don't have choice. They all worship. They already submitted. They already said, no, 100%, we are good. Alhamdulillah. We have the extra choice. But we also get double the reward, or we get double the punishment. Right? So Bani Adam, son of Adam, has big responsibility. If he does well, he gets a beautiful reward. No one else will get it. But if he does horrible, he gets the worst of punishment. Even it'll be worse than animals. I mean, animals won't get punished. They're creatures of Allah. Everything will go back to him. But imagine you had choice and you blew it. You will end up in a worse spot than even the animals when they go back to Allah. Because when animals go back to Allah, they would become dust or whatever their fate is, it's going to be okay. They're going to be happy. But no one's going to be happy in hellfire. So imagine when Allah said, 2 creatures I created, 2 nations, jinns and mankind. And he said jinn wal ins. He didn't say Muslims only. Oh, I only created Muslims to worship me. He said I created ins. I created everybody, mankind. So everybody we see today that's a non-Muslim and they don't choose to submit, they will be asked, who was your Lord? We're like, what? I have a Lord? Really? I didn't believe. I didn't see him. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. You know this line we heard? I have to see it to believe it, brother. You know? Do you see your brain? Right now. Has anybody seen their brain physically?
No.
So then it doesn't exist. Because I can't see your brain, it means it's not there. It's funny, right? So how can somebody say, oh, just because I don't see Allah is not there? Yeah, it's as simple as saying, well, I don't see your brain and it's not there apparently, right? Have you physically seen planet Jupiter? Have you anybody physically seen it and can say, yeah, I like touched it, I felt it, I know it exists, it's real? Have we been there? Impossible, right? Can we deny it? If we deny, you said this guy's nuts. I mean, the sun is in the sky. I said, well, I don't really, have this connection with these stars. I haven't really seen it physically, or I wasn't there. I didn't walk on this planet. Thus, it doesn't exist. It's quite foolish. Same thing here. So if somebody says, I don't see Allah, or I don't see the angels, I don't see paradise, I don't see hellfire, doesn't exist. And again, this is an aqidah issue. This is like a major belief system. You'll find a lot of people, they don't believe in anything. They're like, yeah, we just showed up out of nowhere. That's pretty insulting to say, if you were to come to a masjid like this, or a center, or a school, or let's make it easier. This phone, for example, does it require a lot of engineers behind this? A lot of testing, making sure it's working well, and tons of money and investments and apps. I mean, come on, brother, like games. Let's just say that all these apps and all these games and all these, phones and screens and whatever, it just happened by itself. I don't believe there was a creator. I don't believe there was engineers behind this. That's just a big lie. It just Big Bang Theory. This thing just showed up out of nowhere, and we have a phone, and it operates, and it's perfect, and it connects with, international and everything. This phone just happened by itself. What do you say about that? I think that's pretty insulting to the one who designed this, right? It'd be like, excuse me? I spent 10 years developing this thing, day and night, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, with thousands of people working on this, and you're going to tell me that nobody created this phone? You gotta be kidding me, or you must be crazy to say something like that. So when we see the heavens and the earth and the sun and the moon and the stars and the mountains and the rivers and everything today, can we just say, oh yeah, just nothing, it just showed up by itself? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense for a cell phone, then it doesn't make sense for something that's much bigger than that. So this is the ultimate element of aqidah. The ultimate element of aqidah, which is the true faith system of Islam. Allah gave us choice, and that's why He mentioned both of us. And He said, you both have choice to worship. I've created you for worship, but you have a choice to implement or not. Very easy, very simple. Some of us may, some of us may not. So we said Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, that belongs to everyone. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah belongs to the people who worship Him. And this beautiful verse describes it. It said, worship is built upon 2 very important things. Al-ibadah is built upon 2 things. And they are love and reverence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So with love there will be hope, with reverence, there'll be awe and fear. So we're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with hope, love, and fear. Meaning that we worship Allah, we run towards Him, that we hope from Him, a really good reward, and we hope for His pleasure and happiness. But we also fear His punishment, right? It's like having a parent. You don't want to, disappoint your mom or dad. You want to make them happy. But at the same time, even though you love your parents, you're also afraid that they're going to maybe ground you or punish you if you don't listen to their requests, right? So it's the same relationship. Just because maybe your mom or dad is upset one day, doesn't mean they're going to wash their hands away and out of the house and don't want to ever see you again. A caring mother and father, even though we, might make them angry sometimes, which is something we shouldn't be doing, but they still love us, right? Even though you may be angry with your brother or sister one day, or you don't want to talk to anybody sometimes, and you need some time off, that's fine, but in the end, we're still a family, right? We still care for each other. If something happens that will harm anybody in the family, you run and jump and defend them and protect them like no day after tomorrow, right? So it's always good to take care of what we have. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the same thing. He just like how a parent gives birth to a child and they love that child very much. Is that true? Parents love their kids?
Yeah.
And did parents create their kids?
No.
No. Right? People don't create people. Allah creates people. Right? We are just a means. We're just like a certain resource to make something happen. Right? But we're not the actual, we don't provide the soul. We just don't provide anything. And that's all it is. It's all from Allah. Now, imagine your parents just gave birth to you. And they love you this much. What if they were to actually create you? What if your mom or dad actually had the choice to customize you like a pizza? And decide how you're going to look, decide what you're going to wear, or how the sound of your cry, the type of your voice. Maybe you'll talk with echo. Maybe you'll talk like on the mic, without the mic. I don't know. All I'm saying is that we didn't have choice in that, right? Allah created us, thus He loves us so much. He didn't give birth to us, but He created us, which is even more greater than birth, right? He decided how you look. So we owe Him something, right? We owe Him thanks. We say, oh wow, Allah, thank you so much. I mean, you made me look beautiful, you made me healthy, you made me comfortable, you made me see and touch and feel and smell and hear. You gave me senses. I can enjoy life now. I'm not just, in a, black space. I'm not floating in the air in darkness. I'm actually physically on the ground. I can breathe and think, and I have feelings and emotions, and I enjoy and I taste and everything. Thank you for all this. So that's what Allah's saying. Just because I created you and I own you and all that, I want you to come to me now. I came to you first. I created you. I made you in the best way and shape possible. All I'm asking for you is to recognize that I'm your Lord and to worship me. Right? Does Allah need our worship?
Yeah, no.
No. He doesn't need our worship. But what does He want from us? Not just worship. Don't say worship. I want something deeper than worship. So worship is like a big title. But what's deeper?
Submit.
He wants?
Submit.
He wants your submission. Okay?
Recognition.
Okay, that's good. We're getting hotter a little bit. Anything more deep? What does Allah want from us? What else? Like, what's this whole purpose? Why are we here? Like, what does He want from us?
Believe as one God.
Pardon?
Believe as one God.
No, well, we know that. We've established that already. But Allah says worship. What does He want us to do? Yes.
Worship.
He wants us to do what He says.
What He says. Okay. Anything else?
Worship. He wants us to
Sorry,
worship.
I want to hear it.
Like pray.
He wants us to pray, but when we pray, what happens? What are we getting? And what are we giving?
We're giving our time and dedication to Allah.
Okay. Better. We're getting better. Yes.
Our
Get
votes.
ajr.
So we get a reward. Okay. But what is Allah getting from us? Like, does He need us to Allah Akbar, Sami Allahu Alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar, Alhamdulillah? Does He need that?
No.
Right?
No.
What's happening in Salah? Or what's going through our system when we pray? What are we getting? And what are we giving? You understand my question? It's really deep, by the way. We're actually like jumping really deep here. So it may be a little difficult, but it's okay. It's going to help our noggins, our brains to move a little bit.
We're getting reward, and then what we're giving.
Yes, sir.
Doing what he says.
We're doing what He says. Yeah. Yes. Your name? Pardon? Ilham. Ilham and ikhlas, right? Okay, cool. So, what are we getting and what are we giving? Okay, getting better. That's a good answer. We're getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning we're... Yes?
We get Jannah. And
We-
He's happy with us.
Okay. So we are seeking, when we establish our ibadah, or establish salah, or zakat, or siyam, or hajj, we are actually seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning we want Him to be happy with us because we are submitting to Him as the creator, as the owner, as the disposer of all affairs. And we are getting the taqwa. We are being given the element of faith. Enjoying taqwa is the greatest, that's what gives us comfort. Taqwa is when your heart finds rest. So we get peace and comfort and tranquility when we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when you pray, and if you're praying properly, some people pray like it's like drive-through mosque, you know? All we need to do is just put a drive-through window and ask what else he needs. You need some fries with the salah, or you need some milkshake. It's like a drive-through salah, some people, right? We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to like dine in. We're supposed to sit and take our time and see the lights and, you know, enjoy the comfortable place and focus and all that. What we get is comfort, because our heart, it's aching for something. Our heart's saying, oh Allah, I need you, but we need you to help us to find you, right? So Allah said in the Quran, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ With the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His salah, with ibadah, only then we can sleep comfortably at night, knowing that you did what you're supposed to do for the day. Only then we'll find rest, right? Only then we'll find comfort. And when you do something good, is Allah happy? Absolutely. Do we trust that He'll be happy with us? Do we trust He's going to record every good deed we have? Absolutely. So what we want from Allah is His promise. Does He promise us a good life in this world, and He promised us in the next? Right? When He said, لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ People who submit to me, I will make sure they're not scared of what's coming, and they will not cry over what they left behind. So we want Allah's promise. We want His happiness. Radiallahu anhu. Allah is happy with them. He's pleased with them. And what does Allah want from us? Allah wants us to be happy with Him as well. Meaning that He wants us to say, Ya Allah, alhamdulillah, thank you for letting us to worship you. Oh Allah, thank you for guiding us. Alhamdulillah ladhi hadana lihada. Anytime you find the word alhamdulillah and something that follows it, it means if Allah is saying that you need to say alhamdulillah for this, then you need to say alhamdulillah for that. You actually really need to do that, because without Allah you couldn't have found this. Hidayah, guidance, mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, happiness, His generosity is what we look for. We look for so much things from Him. And all He wants us to do is just to say that there's no God but Him. Basically, He's looking for respect. When we don't recognize Allah, or if somebody were to say, no, Allah doesn't exist, are they respecting Him? No. You know the verse when أَن دَعَوْا لِلرَّحْمَنِ وَلَدًا? تهز الجبال هزا أن دعوا للرحمن ولدا. When the Christians or the non-Muslims ascribe a partner to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the magnitude of that statement, of that shirk statement, it would it would destroy the earth. It's so powerful and so intense, it will destroy the mountains, and it will split the heavens in half, and it would cause so much destruction. But Allah is merciful, He didn't destroy the earth the minute He was disobeyed. Allah could have said, the minute I'm disobeyed, we're all going to be perished. It's complete disaster. Do you have the ayah? أحسن. وقالوا اتخذ الرحمن ولدا. These people said, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a child. لقد جئتم شيئا. They come up with something so horrible, so grave, deserves a lot of punishment. Yes?
تكاد السماوات يتفطرن منه وتنشق الأرض وتخر الجبال هدا.
تكاد السماوات والأرض يتفطرن. It's as if this statement, if Allah allowed it, the earth would have split in pieces. The heavens would have been destroyed. The mountains would have been perished. All because أن دعوا للرحمن ولدا. All these people claim that Allah has a child. And these people do not want to worship Allah, they want to worship something else. Allah said, this is how bad it is, that this earth wouldn't exist if there was, except for His mercy. Do you understand why? Basically, Allah is saying shirk is so bad that if it was not because of His mercy, He would destroy everything. Say, none of you deserve to live. That's how serious that is, right? So worship is not just like, yeah, it's up to me. Allah gave you choice, but if He didn't give us choice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us choice, but if He decided that He will punish for the sins now, we wouldn't exist. This place would have been like they say the floor is lava. The whole earth will be lava. There will be no earth. It will just be like a disaster, right? But Allah is so merciful. Even the people who disobey Him, He's saying, and don't worship Him, He's saying, I'll still take care of you as a Rabb. I'm not your Ilah, but I'm your Rabb still. Right? Allah is the Rabb al-Ibad. He's the Lord of everybody. But He's the Ilah of the Muslimin. Ilah means God. God means something the one we worship. So Lord, not everybody worships the Lord. Right? Everybody's created by the Lord, but they only take Him, they don't take Him as Lord, or they don't take Him as a God. We say, we take Allah as a Rabb and as an Ilah. A Rabb was created, because as we said, the Rabb goes for everybody. But the Ilah is only for the believers, because they worship. Right? Some of the jinn worship Allah. Do we have Muslim and non-Muslim of the jinn? We have. So the ones who worship Allah are believers, just like us. And they have an Ilah, they have a God that they're worshiping. So I just want this point to be very, very focused. Today we're going to talk as well, inshallah, quickly on 5 more minutes, inshallah. We talk about the Tawheed, Asma wa Sifat. I'll just pull it up here. The Tawheed of Asma wa Sifat. It means that we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with every single one of His names. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عين العشاء هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر.
سبحان الله.
You missed a lot. There's 99. صح؟ نعم. الخالق, the creator, البارئ, المصور. What does مصور mean?
The
Surah is what?
picture.
What مصور is?
Artist.
Artist. or painter, or so he's the one who fashions things. So خلق السماوات والأرض, but صوركم. Allah created the heavens and the earth, but He actually drew your faces. It means that He drew your face. He fashioned you in a very fine, unique way. He created the mountains in a powerful way, but for us, delicate. It needs some attention. The best, not fashion designer, but Allah is the best designer in the universe.
What's the difference between fashion designer and designer?
So a designer is someone who designs things, painter, an artist. But somebody who just takes care of fashion is a fashion designer or a fashion artist, right? Someone who draws pictures of nature is someone who draws nature pictures, or an artist. But Allah is the one who has fashioned us. He decided, how you look, how you would interact. He created emotion. He created feelings. So we're not just a picture. It's not just a picture here we're talking. We're talking something on a deeper level. Not a robot, right? Are we robots?
No.
I hope not. We're not robots, but we're something so much greater than that. Al-Musawwir, Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar. So we worship Allah by His names. Meaning that I worship Allah, the designer. I worship Allah, the creator. I worship Allah, the architect. I worship Allah, the sustainer. So I call upon to Allah with these names as well. So we said we worship Allah as a Rabb, creator, owner, and takes care of all the affairs. We worship Him as a Lord, as a God, because we have to do the salawat. But now, on a next level, how do we worship Allah based on His names? He has 99 names, and there's a reason for that, because He's a specialist, the ultimate specialist in every single one of these names, right? When you call something by the term the, right? We are going to the house. It means there's one specific house, or we're going to the river, right? There's just one major river. We call it by its name. It is the North Saskatchewan River. There's no other river. That's why we call it by its title as the North Saskatchewan River. It's not just a river, is it? It's the Northern Saskatchewan River, right? Edmonton is the capital of what?
Alberta.
Alberta, okay, alhamdulillah. Edmonton is the capital. Is Calgary the capital? No, it's not. Right, so it's not, maybe it's a good city, but Edmonton is the capital. When you say that's the word in Arabic. We add to something, it means the. So it's like a title, it's not just a description. So we say Huwa Ar-Rahman. He is the merciful. So it means there's no more mercy than this. Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik. He is the owner. So there's no greater owner than Allah, right? There's no greater owner. Al-Quddus, As-Salam. He is peace. There's no greater peace than Him. Al-Mu'min. There's no greater believer, or the one who preaches and tells us what's the proper iman, and the proper faith, and the proper things to do. Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz, the powerful one. Al-Jabbar, the strong one. There's no being or creation greater than Allah in strength. Al-Mutakabbir, the most proud. Al-Khaliq, the creator. And so on and so on and so on. So when you pray to Allah, you call Him by His names. And it's actually something we don't really do, by the way. How many times you call Allah, Ya Khaliq? The dua says, فأحسن خلقي. اللهم أحسنت خلقي فأحسن خلقي. Allah, you perfected my, when you look into the mirror, there's a dua we say, right? He said, oh Allah, you perfected my image as a creator. Now perfect my khuluq, my etiquettes and my manners and my spirituality, right? So that's how we need to approach it. Imagine you approach Allah by His each and every single name. Imagine you worship Him per name. Al-Mutakabbir, Al-Khaliq, Al-Bari, Al-Musawwir, Al-Ghaffar, the most forgiving. Ya Ghaffar, Ighfirli. you build this relationship with these names. This is Tawheed Asma wa Sifat. Something that's not really popular or known, if at all. But alhamdulillah, at least we are able to remind each other today. So with this we will stop, inshallah. I know it's a lot of review, but at the same time, it's very important for us to understand these factors. It helps us to worship Allah better. Now imagine you worship Allah with His names. I think that's something we haven't done before. Where we worship Allah, Allah is my creator, I will submit to the creator. Allah is the most powerful. We see He's in control of all the affairs of the world. I submit to His will. He wants to have an earthquake, no problem. But we are going to find out if the earthquake happening because we are doing bad deeds and we're not on our best sort of behavior and He's testing us, or we're going to make this a reason for us to become better. Or He decides a flooding here, a good breeze here, a summertime there, a drought here. Everything happens for a reason. So let's worship Him and call Him by His Al-Mudabbir, right? The one who controls everything. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us all, inshallah, to help us to further understand His deen, and to further increase our relationship with Him. Because this aqeedah, if you understand this, your faith is like going to be solid, inshallah. Right? You know that Allah is. Anybody tells you, oh, I don't think God exists, you say, 1 second, buddy. We believe in God is the creator, He's the owner, and He takes care of things as well. Can this machine create itself? Did this just show out of nowhere? Basically, what we're saying that if we say there's no creator to this, we're saying that the metal walked out of the ground and it walked itself into a laboratory, and the sand, it burned itself, it became glass, and somehow the technologies all came together, all by itself, to put this thing together. That sounds quite miraculous. Sounds quite the story. If it doesn't make sense for a cell phone, then it doesn't make sense for anything greater than this. So let's remember that, inshallah. Okay? So with this, we'll stop, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. We will have a quick review.